Hello there. So I thought I'd do a quick comparison video. This is what we can call it, but this is what we're this is what we're going to call it. We're going to call it a comparison video. There's not really much we can compare it to, but this is what we're going to compare it to. Granddaddy, or probably great granddaddy, a 1951 Ford F1. This was my grandfather's truck. As you can see, it is not running. I'm hoping this will be a project one day. Hopefully we can show this on YouTube and it'll be a good project, because it's not in as bad a shape as I thought it would be, and it's sat in the dirt for many years. But the frame is actually in decent shape, and the bottom and the engine is actually holding oil. So I am very surprised. We'll have to tear into it and see what's going on. What are you doing, Copper? Copper. Need your belly rub. Yeah, I need a belly rub. I need a belly rub. There's Pearl. She's coming. So, but I thought we'd do a comparison video. So, they're both blue. You can kind of tell it now that it's daylight, but they're both blue. We call this one Old Blue. That's what it's always been called. So as long as I've been alive, that's what they've called it. It's Old Blue. So, but dent. I probably won't remove the dent. An interesting story behind it. They had it parked in front of the milk barn one day, and a milk truck actually hit it. And that dent has been there, I think, since my mom lived at home. So my mom actually drove this truck to high school. So this truck is actually, you know, has some sentimental value. My grandpa drove it. My mom drove it to high school. I figure my Uncle Chip drove it to high school, even though I've never really heard any stories on it. Or maybe it was still the work truck whenever my uncle went to high school, because he's a few years older than my mom. So, old school class though. Old school class, that's what that is, old school class. So, it's, so I guess we'll get started with the comparisons. This one is not electric, of course. This one is gas. And not only is it gas, it's got a flathead V8. Old world charm. If that's what we want to call it, old world charm. So, it doesn't raise up very tall anymore. So, you ain't storing nothing down in there. What does the Lightning have? We all know what the Lightning has. Beep. Annoying little beeps. Lightning has a frunk. Lots of storage space. Electric motors are in the are down in it where the axle should be. So we got lots of storage space. 400 pounds. A lot of weight in here. Storage space. So where the Lightning has a very nice interior, very nice, all kinds of digital screens, and everything's electric, and leather seats, and plenty of space for the kids in the back, and a sunroof, and all that. Very luxurious interior. What does the F1 have? The F1 basically doesn't have an interior. Not surprising. Hasn't been driven in a very long time. Not in my lifetime anyway. I don't remember it being driven. So you can imagine what the interior looks like. Surprisingly enough, the doors do open. You can actually open the doors. I figured when we brought it down here, the doors would not open. I figured we would have to do something about that. But the doors do open. Neither one of them are very easy, but they do open. So this one, basically no interior. It was either vinyl or cloth, I'm assuming. I'm assuming this may have been the original interior. I don't know. I don't know if it was the original interior or not, but I'm assuming it was, so it's probably vinyl. Very durable material. Not luxurious at all. At all. I mean, but it did have a radio. Gotta give it that. It had a radio, but there's no digital gauge clusters. It was 3 on the tree, so not an automatic. And it did the job. But it was no AC, gas powered, no room for storage, no room for kids in the back seat, that's for sure. One of those things where the kids were sitting between mom and dad and they looked at you as you drove behind them through the back glass. So, tons of fun. This truck made out of steel. You can punch that and break your hand. You do the same thing to the electric F-150, you'll get a dent. Not a broken hand. So, and then of course, this truck has a metal floor, or I guess it's aluminum alloy. This truck had a wooden floor. Not really sure which one's better. I mean, there's some benefits to the wood, but there's a lot of negatives that come along with it. I think the metal one's better. I think that's why they've been metal for a very long time. Tailgate. Tailgate on the electric F-150. All powered. Fancy. Also much higher off the ground, so it needs a tailgate step. Got my finger caught. That's first. So, fancy step. Got all the work tools, all the stuff, this work tailgate, all that to get up in there. What does the 1951 F100 F1 have? It has a piece of metal. It says Ford. That's it. This truck being a work truck, you would think that it would have been really nice to have all your measuring tools and stuff on the tailgate. The difference was they brought their own tools. They didn't have to have the truck be the tool. So, very different. Very different time, very different way of living. So, it's a different world we live in. These two trucks are almost not even similar. You almost can't even call them the same vehicle, even though they're probably in the same class. I'm gonna put this up. Handle's gotta go first. One. Difficult with one hand. 2 and 3. Okay. This truck has power in the back for power tools and power in the front for power tools, or for charging power tools, or whatever you want to do with power tools, or whatever else you might need. This truck has none of that. It's hand tools. You did it manually. So I'm really hoping to get this thing in the shop, hopefully before too terribly long, and get this thing at least running. I don't think I want to mess with the patina. I think I want to keep it. I think I want to keep the patina. And you can kind of see it's got a little bit of blue paint left on it, like right up in here where some of that moss is. See some of that. I kind of like to shine up maybe some of the chrome, but not a lot. I'd like to kind of leave it. I kind of like the patina. I kind of like to leave the patina the way it is. Not as much rust on it as you might think. Of course, I'm not terribly surprised because it's two-wheel drive with all the weight in the front. So, with the power in the back and the weight in the front, not a good idea to be driving on ice or snow. You did it when you had to, not because you could. So, but it does a pretty good job. I'm real be interested to see, what all it takes. It's in a lot better shape than I thought it was in. When we first brought it down here, I thought it's gonna need everything but the body. I thought it's gonna need an interior, it's gonna need an engine, it's gonna need a frame, it's gonna need axles, it's gonna need transmission, it's gonna need everything. And it's in way better shape than what I thought it was in, because it had literally been sitting in the dirt for my entire life. It had never moved from its spot before we brought it down here. I don't ever remember it moving from its spot. It had been there for a very long time. well, I'm 31. I'll be 32 this year, and I don't remember it not being in that spot. Not saying it wasn't, but I don't remember it not being in that spot we moved it from. So, one thing about it, safety was not of utmost concern. Gas went right behind the driver. So, if you were in a wreck, you had exploding gas in your back. It was more about how to do it and not safety and how to do it. So, this thing is very safe. Very safe. I'd have to look up the tests and everything on it, but I figure it is, because the F-150 has a 5-star, has for a long time at least. I assume it's still that way. It's had a 5-star crash test rating for a while. So I assume it's still 5 stars, and I figure the rollover is even better because all the weight's down in the frame. So, and it handles like such too. It doesn't handle like a normal truck, because normal center of gravity is up about the door handle on a normal truck. Like my diesels, they're up about the door handle. This truck, I'd say it's a lot closer to about here, because the motors are in the bottom, the batteries are in the bottom, which is the heavy part. The frame's down there, everything's down there. Literally all you have above that is just aluminum body and the interior panels, and that's it. So that's one thing about this truck. Its weight's still down low too. I mean, that engine is down inside of it. It's not a very tall truck. This truck, I bet its center of gravity is still fairly low. Now, ground clearance basically is none. My electric F-150 probably has more ground clearance than this truck did from the factory. And I wouldn't be surprised about that. I'd have to look it up, but I wouldn't be surprised. This truck's 2-wheel drive, that truck's 4-wheel drive. It still doesn't sit very high off the ground, but I bet this one had less ground clearance. So, but everybody used these trucks on the farm. Everybody had one of these. My great-great-grandfather Stuart had his truck very similar to this. I think it was a little older, if I remember. Not much, but a little bit. But I don't have that truck. He bought a 1960 something, and I've got to find that truck. I've got to find that one, because my great-grandfather bought that truck brand new from the dealership. He bought it, and the dealer delivered it to his house, which is just up above my house. And but he wasn't done. He used to thrash. I don't know if anyone knows where the thrashing machine is. No, you country boys probably do. But he used to thrash around this area, and when the dealer delivered his new pickup, he said, "I don't want to get rid of my old pickup until I get done with thrashing this season, because I don't want to get my new pickup dirty." And so the dealer left the new truck at his house, and trusted my great-grandfather enough to leave it at his house and deliver the old one later. That would not happen today. That is a story that is not going to happen today. Period. You're not going to trade in a vehicle and them leave you the new one and expect you not to drive it until you get done with the old one. That ain't happening. No way is that happening anymore. So, spare tires. There's 2 of them. 2 spare tires. 2 spare tire racks. The F-150 Lightning does have a spare tire. A full-size spare tire. A lot of vehicles don't come with full-size spare tires anymore. Don't even come with a donut anymore. They expect you to call it in. And I was kind of thinking that this Lightning would probably have that as well. It does not. It does have a full-size spare. Up under here. And I have to get it out to look, but just kind of looking at it at first, it does look like it's an aluminum wheel. I don't figure it's the same style as the ones that are on it, but I think it's an aluminum wheel. So there's something to be said about that. At least Ford didn't cheap. I mean, I'm gonna have to get it out, but it looks like it's an aluminum wheel. But if that's the case, Ford didn't cheap out and give me a metal wheel like a lot of trucks get. A lot of trucks get an old metal wheel. Even on dualies, the inner dual is a metal wheel. It's not an aluminum wheel. So, which I hate, because I had a 2017 F350, and I hated it because you could not rotate tires without dismounting them. Did not like that at all. I mean, I looked into a lot of stuff to see if I could get all aluminum wheels or switch the aluminums to metal. Because you couldn't, I mean, it was a job to rotate the tires. You had to dismount the tires in order to rotate them properly. Unless you were just going to have, you know, a metal one out here and a and the aluminum on the inside. And, you know, in order to make it look right, you had to dismount the tires. So, but anyway, I thought I'd do a quick comparison video. That's what it is. Apparently I need to get a gimbal for my camera so that it's not so shaky. So that's something I'll have to look into. That's something. If you have any recommendations on a gimbal or a stabilization for a camera, let me know in the comments. I'd like to see it. And be sure to like and subscribe to the video. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Like and subscribe. It's important. We'll talk to you later.